All right, well, welcome everyone. I'm Roseanne Hanson, and if you don't know who I am, you've come here by a suggestion or whatever. I'm a naturalist, an author, I'm an explorer, I'm the Art and Science Program Director at the University of Arizona's uh, Desert Laboratory on Tumamoc Hill, and I've been keeping field notebooks and sketchbooks for almost 40 years, like 36 years, and I started journaling when I was actually quite young, 9, 10 years old. And I'm completely self-taught when it comes to the sketching part. And these field trips I developed, partly this fall, spring when COVID hit and we couldn't get together in person anymore. And Ryan Pedersen and I, but Ryan's the field coordinator for the geology department at Stanford University, um, came up with this idea to use technology to take people on field trips. So we started doing this, and it's become really kind of successful and fun, and we get lots and lots of people. So what we're going to do today is taking you on a trip I actually went on recently. My husband and I helped lead a four-wheel drive trip from Moab, Utah to Aspen, Colorado, all on backcountry four-wheel drive roads. And uh, it was just a few people, and we were very COVID aware and safe. Everyone cooked their own meals and everything, but got to cover some amazing country. So I'm going to take you from Moab to Aspen, and we'll start out with I'm going to give you a little slideshow here. Wonderful. Well, welcome to Mountains and Mesas from Utah to Colorado. I gave my introduction earlier. I'm Roseanne Hanson, and author of Nature Journaling for a Wild Life, which I see a lot of you are kind of students with my book. Thank you very much. And where are we going today? We're going to start in Moab. Well, it's just northwest of Moab, Utah. And then we'll be traveling all on back roads over the northern La Salle Mountains, through Gateway, Colorado, along the Dolores River. Then we're going to zip over to Telluride and then really start climbing. And we'll go up over a huge pass, Imogene Pass. And then from there, we'll be camping along the way. And then we're going to scoot around down to the Gunnison River and up another pass, Tin Cup Pass. And then from there, we headed over to Aspen. So it was quite a trip over only 5 days. And we had, I'm going to be showing you 4 camps along this route. So what are we going to cover over this field trip? We're going to be climbing over 3 passes, all over 10,000 feet. Imogene at 13,126, Engineer Pass at 12,961 feet, and then Tin Cup Pass just over 10,000 feet. And on this trip, I calculated we climbed almost 30,000 feet in aggregate, 29,712 feet. We are going to see a really unique, special community, ecological community, alpine tundra. I learned an awful lot about it because it was way out of my desert experience, is climbing into this tundra, which you're seeing in this photo here. It's beautiful. It's very fragile. It's held together with grasses, little sedges, dwarf plants that live above tree line in the Rocky Mountains throughout North America in the high country, over 11,000 feet. So pretty hardy. Unfortunately, we are starting to really lose this habitat to global warming. So it's just becoming too warm and not enough moisture too in these areas as the snowpack is receding. And then indiscriminate off-road driving and also people walking off-road. We saw a tremendous increase in those side-by-side 4x4s being rented in this area, and no one is being trained in proper etiquette, and people are driving off the road and through the tundra. It's just really terrible. So there's a lot we can do to help conserve this through education and so forth. So what are some of the animals we might see on this incredible range of habitats we'll be seeing? Well, we're starting down in the desert grasslands around Moab. So the pronghorn, which is a really cool animal, it's the only surviving member of Antilocapridae in North America and has been here for over 1 million years. And you wonder why. I mean, they are so fast, right? But who can eat them now? Well, the reason they're so fast and live out there on those plains is they used to be preyed on by the now extinct American cheetah, which is super cool. So obviously no more fast cats left in this part of the world. So I think mostly the fawns get preyed on by coyotes, and if they can even remotely get close. So, and then we might see American pika, which is now one of my favorite rodents forever. I got to see them on the strip and hear them, and they are super cool. We'll talk about this a little more, but they haystack plant matter. They don't hibernate over the winter above tree line. So what they do is selectively harvest throughout the summer grasses and herbs and stick them under in their burrows and under rocks. And they actually selectively collect the most nutritious plants in the correct order, so that the most nutritious plants they're packing down in the bottom of the burrows, with as it goes to the top, slightly less nutritious. And that's because over the winter, as they eat down their little haystacks, they get the best stuff last, which is when they need it the most. That is truly amazing for this little guy. And then we might see a yellow-bellied marmot, which is a really big, like up to 10-pound rodent. And if you've heard the term whistle pig, that's these guys. So those of you who know me and have my book know I'm all about metadata, right? Because this is really about, it's not about, just pretty pictures. We like to sketch. I like to emphasize the sketching for the educational value, to study something, to really look at something, to do little landscape photos just for memory purposes, maybe in my journal, or to set the stage. But all of it has to be set up properly with metadata in your field notebooks. So I'll be sharing these on the website, and you'll have access to them as well if you don't get this down quickly. But this is our locations. I just put 2 camp locations, kind of the highest camp and the lowest camp. And then the weather today in Moab, I'll be showing you in my journal how I do this. And what the sunrise, the sunset is, the moonrise and moonset. And today is full moon, yay, which is kind of fun on Halloween. I forgot to say happy Halloween, everyone. So metadata is what we'll put first in our journals. And I'll be switching to that in just a moment. So we're going to head off here, and we'll be covering quite a range of habitats. So right now I'm going to switch to kind of our placeholder. Let me see if there's any questions. I'm the metadata queen. Oh, thank you. That's funny. I know I'm getting a reputation. So let's center ourselves and let's see where we're going. This is going to show us exactly where we're heading. We're almost right in the center of the screen. There is where we're aiming for. This is Moab, Utah, in the beautiful canyon country. Right in a beautiful bend of the Colorado River. And you can see the landscape. The colors here just blow your mind. If you have not been down in this area, it's quite spectacular. Moab is a verdant little community along the Colorado, and then the beautiful Red Rock canyons. Now we're heading west and north, and we're going to camp in a BLM land area called Bartlett Wash. This is our first camp. And it is at the nose of this incredible rock formation, which are all over up here. It's why people go. It's pretty spectacular. So now we are, so this is the new way I'm doing some of our virtual field trips. This was our actual camp, and I shot 360-degree photos. So I'm giving you a little tour here. If you look in the map on the upper left, you'll see that red cone is the direction we're looking. So we were looking directly west here. Sun was setting. And now we're zooming around to the north. And so this is really typical. This is big sagebrush, uh, desert canyon country, beautiful sandy soils, uh, beautiful red colors, and these amazing rock formations. And it was really a beautiful vista here. Look at this. Through my Swarovski spotting scope, I was able to take this photo of the moon just peeking behind that rock formation, which was really fun. So I think maybe the first thing I would do here is sketch this rock formation just to sort of set myself in place, because it's so beautiful. Now, one thing I'd want to be careful about is that I don't tackle too much here. So I'm going to do a very loose, uh, very casual sketch of this. I know I could go way too deep and end up like just tackling more, biting off more than I can chew here. And I really love these juniper trees that are all gnarly and everything here. So I think that's what I'm going to focus on. So where I'm going right now is I'm going to turn on my, we're going to look at my notebook, and you can see what I might choose to start sketching. All right. So I started out my metadata here. I'm going to show you the whole thing just to save time today. But so pulling into camp, this is how I do it. And later I'm going to show you some of my actual pages as well. But here's the metadata. Where am I? Bartlett Wash, latitude and longitude, elevation. We're at 4,900 some odd feet. You know, what is the sunrise, sunset, moonrise? It's cold this morning, 35, but it's going to be nice today, 60. And I often do this when I'm starting a trip or just a field day. I'll start a list of birds or just wildlife and leave it kind of open. And just it's a running list as I'm going. I'm going to add them. So driving into our camp, I saw an antelope, ground squirrel, ravens, and you can see here when I start, I always start with a little bit of prose just to sort of get me anchored, and I set the scene. At camp northwest of Moab, off Bartlett Wash recreation area. Beautiful cold morning, very quiet. And a single sage sparrow visited briefly. And that was a new bird for me, which was really fun. So I made sure I wrote that there and put that on my list. So how would I quickly capture this very complicated rock formation and my kind of fun, I love that tree, that's juniper tree. So I think what I'm going to do is, and I'm going to focus on just these 2 pages for this demonstration. Probably, you know, obviously over the course of days and days on trips, you know, I would be doing lots of pages. But just to keep it simple, I'm going to just do these 2 pages. So I think what I'll do is to make myself keep it small, because I'm inclined to like start drawing the whole thing until it's just sort of takes over my page, which if I had hours and hours and hours would be fine. But so what I'll do is I'm going to anchor myself by, okay, this is where I want to put that little, that beautiful juniper tree, which is all scraggly. And let's give myself a limit here. so I don't make it too big. This is good, a landscapeito, according to John Muir Laws. I love that. A little landscape. So I don't want it to take over the page. So just to keep myself from getting out of control, I'm going to quickly sketch this really cool, scraggly juniper. And give that a grounding there. And then I'm going to say, okay, well, my highest point there, I'm going to make that here. So I'm going to maybe suggest a bounding box as well, just to keep myself in control, as I said. And then I'm going to kind of use, I'm going to use a series of dots to guide myself on how I'm going to do this. Now, I'm editing this a little bit. I'm going to put this tree a little bit closer, and I'm leaving out the trucks and the tent. So here's the slope. I'm just giving myself a little guide here. I think I'll come over here like this. Okay, that's about as far there, and it comes down like this. Okay, that's my basic shape here, and then I've got the waist of the thing there, and it kind of comes up like that, down like that. And again, you know, I'm capturing this. I'm not copying it. I just want to get the feel of this amazing rock formation. Yeah, I like that relationship there. This goes down. Want to make sure I leave that gap. And then this larger one here. Like so. You know, I just want to spend a few minutes on this. I don't want it to take over here. There. Let's because it's super complicated, so I could go kind of crazy. I'm just using my little dots. Okay, that's good. Oops. See, now I made this one too tall, so I'm going to bring it down, and I need to make this one taller. So that helps me with the proportions. And it's all kind of leaning to the left right now because I was scrunched over, which is kind of funny. So I'm going to try to straighten it out. So let me start giving these some lines here. I'm not going to make this a solid line. I'm going to keep this kind of raggedy. Because it's not a, you know, nothing's like a perfect solid line here. And then there's some I just want to capture this feeling. Okay, now let's tackle these. Try to straighten this back up. I want to keep my lines super scratchy here because, and then we'll come up over here. Fill this in, there's going to be darks in here. And notice I got that proportion a bit off here. There we go. I'm going to fill in the slopes a little bit here. There's these scree slopes. All right. Yeah, that proportion's a little off, but that's okay because we're just trying to capture this incredible formation here. Because we've got a long way to go and a lot of driving to do. So we want to we want to don't take all of our time here. Let's get this little guy here. This one's in the front. And then there's these wonderful little stacked. These are kind of sitting on these crazy. I want to capture that if I can. Maybe too much detail, but that's okay. And these are going to go into the background a little bit more. So yeah, that's makes me happy. I'm going to leave that, and then I'm going to make some suggestions of the boulders that come down. Again, I'm not going to try to do everything here, because if I do, it'll just sort of, I'll go down that rabbit hole of too much detail. And I'm going to fill this in with some paint. So I'm going to let the paint speak mostly on here. And we'll have the shrubs and bushes in here. So I'm going to call that sketch mostly done, except for my color here. You can have fun with these bounding boxes. I don't use rulers. I'm lazy. I have one, but I tend to just do it freehand. I like to say it frees me from the tyranny of perfection, right? And remember that beautiful moon? Well, let's go ahead and have some fun here and add that really cool moon, which is kind of fun. So that'll be a nice reminder. And so I would want to be, writing in here about the moon and everything. So I'm going to start as well with a little bit of color. Now, normally I use this is my little field kit here. I did draw this at the camp. I actually really went way too detailed, but I just stood there and I used this little kit. This is my mini paint kit. Now I'm going to take it off here though, because you won't be able to see me properly if I do it that way. So I'm going to start out some color real quick to get this started. This is probably how I do it in the field too, is I'd lay down the color first, maybe do some washes. And then if we have to get going, I can come back to it. I'll have taken a little picture probably with my phone. And feel free, if you have verbal questions, to throw them in right now while I'm doing this. If you turn on your sound and ask a question, be sure to turn off your sound again. Oops, I just realized what I would rather do is start with the sky. So I'm going to wipe this off. It's taken me a while to sort of get used to talking, painting, teaching, all at the same time. And sometimes I do some funny, wonky stuff. So I'm going to quickly just throw in some sky here and make sure I reserve my little moon. And I'm not going to make this really perfect because there was some wispy clouds. And let that settle there. And then I can come in and let's throw in some some of the rock color. Now I'm using burnt sienna, and I actually touch in a little bit of my magenta to give it a pinkier look. And this is just going to be my base color. I'm making it pretty light because then I'm going to come in and add the darks, and I'm leaving space for bushes and stuff. Because then I can come back here and start with maybe a little bit more of the burnt sienna and start adding a little bit more. See how that, it's really nice to have different shades of colors on. Don't make it all like solid. And see, I could really go to town with this, but I'm going to try to stop myself because otherwise we're not going to get anywhere. But you can see how that goes. And so while I've got that burnt sienna, I'm going to throw in a little bit of Andanthrone blue and to create a dark. And just quickly show you how I would push these guys back. This is in shadow. More. Question? Did I hear a question? No. All right, I'm going to leave that for now because I'm liable to just sort of noodle it to death. I'll come back and add some greens in a bit. But that's a great start to a nice little landscapeito. Okay, well, we're going to go back to our field trip because it's time to get going. We're going to head north into the valley. I'm going to swap shares here. Any questions so far? All right, we're going back to our journey. Okay, so we're going to be heading north. And we're heading north into, this amazing valley just north toward Moab. And check this out, right along the side of the road, pronghorn antelope. Awesome. So what I'm going to do now is write in my journal. I'm not going to swap back to it. You don't need to see, but I'm going to write pronghorn by the road. And there were about 12 of them. And this male was incredible. So I'm actually going to, right above my little landscapeito, I'm going to just do a kind of a placeholder for this guy. I'm going to sketch I'm going to leave a shape of his head in here because he has such an incredible
Roseanne, we're only seeing
oldest, coolest guys I've ever seen. Oh, what was that? Was that a question?
Actually, we're not seeing what you're sketching.
Yeah,
we're just seeing
I'm just doing a placeholder. So I'm not going to swap over yet to that. I'm just going to leave a placeholder. So I'll come back to that. This is just reminding me that in my journal that I saw the pronghorn because we're driving north. And okay. Now we're going to head beyond Moab and around the corner, kind of around the Castle Valley. We've traveled several hundred kilometers, and we went through this amazing valley to get. So right here, we are sitting in camp. So we're at our next camp along the Dolores River. It's beautiful. We're way up above on a cliff, and To get there though, just north and east of Moab, we went through this amazing place called Onion Creek Canyon. Which is this incredible area of red ochre rock, hoodoos. This is not playing for me. Come on. Hopefully that will bump in soon. There we go. Sort of skipping a little bit. This is an experiment to see if this works. So this Onion Creek Canyon is full of this red ochre rock in hoodoo formations. Hoodoo is a great word. It's those spires of rocks that are just fantastical. And so one thing I would definitely do is stop, and I collected some of this rock. So I'm going to stop for a moment and show you another cool thing. So it's called Onion Creek because it is a sulfur spring that feeds part of this creek. And so it does have a sulfury, stinky, oniony smell. And then in the creek, this is what we saw. This fantastical white filaments in the creek, just mounds and mounds of them. In the sulfury spring. And I definitely noted that in my journal. And what it's called, let me call that up again and I'll just freeze it so it doesn't do a lot of bandwidth. That's called microbial mat. That's an algal bacterial mat that grows in these sulfurous springs. And it's pretty incredible. Those are long filaments, maybe 6 or 8 inches long. And they just wave in the creek like that. So I definitely would write that down. So what I'm going to do now is go back to my notebook here. And you should be seeing, now I wanted to sketch the pronghorn. So I did kind of a triangle for his head. I just wanted to do his head. And I just kind of stuck it in here because I want to leave space over here for more things. So his horns are going to go way up into my writing, which is actually okay. So I left that there. And then check this out. So this is the ochre from Onion Creek Canyon, near the spring. And what I did, and I did this on my trip, collected it, and I was able to kind of crush up a little bit. And I do this in my journal frequently. This is actually the Onion Creek ochre that I processed with gum arabic. And I would put a little sample, and I was able to do this there. You know, you just pick it up with my fingers and stretch it around until my fingers got nice and orangey. And I would put that in my journal, you know, a smear of the dirt. And it's a beautiful ochre color. And I actually, you know, I use this in my paintings. It's a beautiful color. Check that out. So very fun things you can do. So I would write in here, maybe do a sketch of those rock formations. Let's see, show you a picture of one. There we go. These were what those hoodoos looked like in the canyon. So there's these incredible spires of rocks.
Are we supposed to be able to see the hoodoos? We can't.
So I have a screen share up that you should be seeing my notebook. Are you seeing that?
Yes.
Okay, and the next to the notebook should be the photo of the hoodoos.
We don't see that.
No, oh, how odd. Okay. Oh, let me see what I can do to fix that. Oh, I know what I did wrong. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. I shared the wrong way. I have to share just the desktop. So that should do it. Now you should see it.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting me know. So here's my little placeholder for the pronghorn. I just did like a triangle for where I'm going to stick his head, and his horns are going to go up into my writing because I want to leave plenty of other note space. So that's just a placeholder. Here's where I put you saw the ochre, and then now just sort of getting this. I wanted to capture these fantastical kind of hoodoo thingies here. Of this canyon. So Onion Creek Canyon. And the red ochre. And then I would be writing up here as well about the microbial mat. And I would give this a title. So I could even go in if I wanted to and have a little fun with that's the actual earth. I didn't let my pen dry. That's the actual earth collected from Onion Creek, which is kind of cool. I do that frequently. I'll smear colors from the live landscape. Now over here, I can go in to my little landscape. So maybe we're taking a lunch break, and I'm going to add some of my plant greens. Let's get the juniper. And I'm just gonna dab some in here where I know when there were some to help give this a little bit more definition. And we know there's some down here. And that's gonna help pop that up a little bit. And I would probably go in later and darken up these darks again. I'm gonna leave that for now so I don't overcook it. And I can come back in a bit and also work on the pronghorn, which I can do a little bit right now. Pronghorn are really hard to draw. Oh, come back here. I don't know why it really wanted that, that window. So pronghorn are really hard to draw. They have super strange faces. If you've seen their skulls, you'll know how oddly their eyeball sockets are and that. So I want to notice that his nose and head distance here are about as long as his horn here. So I want to make sure his horn and this distance down here are about the same. And he's got this strong eyebrow bone, occipital bone coming down here, and then his nose and chin. Going to sort of, and I would maybe, I would be sketching this in camp back in the evening from the photograph because, someone's got an iPad, so you're making marks. I don't know why Zoom allows that, but I don't know how to get rid of those. So those red dots, thank you. That's a really strange thing about Zoom. But anyway, so then placing his eyeball, it's way over on the side here. It's way farther than I ever always anticipate. And he's got like these eyelashes going on, which is kind of fun. And I want to kind of mark this dark. And then that ear that starts right there comes down, scraggly little ear. And then his horn comes straight out, or antler. And I'm going up into my words. Is that right? But this one in particular is this really thick horn. Okay, so I'm just going to give him his big thick neck coming out here. And be sure to mark those interesting white stripes on his throat, a lot like an African antelope. Kind of got 3 going on there. And then I can come in and hit him with some color to define this really cool darks in here. And that left me room to write about the antelope here. And I've got my Onion Creek hoodoos here. Okay, and then as we continue on, I'll be taking more notes as well, moving over to this side of the page. And let's go back though to see where we're going. And you'll have access, I'll be sharing to you this website where you will have the full journey and you can do your own explorations and click on all of these dots. Are you guys now seeing we're going back to the Dolores River? Yes?
Yes.
Thank you. You'll have access to this, so you can go back and do all the details and fun things that you want, because now we're heading to our next camp, which is quite different. Now look, we've gone way up. This is our camp it's called Upper Bird Camp, and this is on the other side of Imogene Pass. So we've just gone over that 13,000 foot, and we're camping pretty high. This camp is actually at over 10,000 feet. But let's see if I can get this video to play. So you'll see what it was like to climb up this amazing, huge pass. This is above Telluride. It's called Imogene Pass. It's crazy, but believe it or not, that's 2-way traffic. So when you get up there, it's really high, it's super exposed, and there's people coming down at the same time as you're going up, and it's pretty gnarly. I was definitely a bit gripped, but this is our Land Cruiser. My husband was driving. So you can see, you'll get a nice view down into the pass in just a second, or a quick view. And you could see just how high up we are. That's the other side of the valley there. So pretty fun there. So that's what we climbed over to get to the top. That's the pass up there, way up there. And while we were climbing up, let me just show you too what this looks like down here before I show you what we saw climbing up. So spruce trees, very dramatic. This looks like an old avalanche chute down here. And this was our camp. Just starting to you can see the low shrubs are turning color. There's no aspens in here. But as we were coming up the pass and down the other side, up above tree line, this is what we saw and heard. So that, and that squeaky call is the American pika, which is that cute little rodent who haystacks. And I actually saw one of these little guys haystacking. This was really quick. This was the only photo we got. And, but we saw one stuffing grasses under one of these rocks, which I thought was really cool. So one of the things I would do here in my notebook is write about that and the haystacking, and be sure to capture that in my journal. Also those squeaky calls, and remember how great it is to talk about not just what we see, but what are we hearing, what are we smelling. Really great notes to put in your journal. And speaking of smelling, here's a fun thing we can do with virtual field trips. Going back to our other camp, you see that shrub right here is actually a little stunted juniper. The juniper berries, and I want to write this in my journal, the juniper berries were fully forming at this time and they smelled beautiful, that incredible sharp scent. So I would actually probably take some and crush it into my journal, and it's kind of like a scratch and sniff down the road. So that's definitely something I would do. So let me go back to sharing my journal, and I'll show you a few things that I might do here. Desktop. And there we go. And you should be seeing the journal now.
Yes.
Yeah, leopard.
Oh, yeah, wrong habitat. So here's our little pika. I have a different wild cat on every one of my desktops. That was a serval. So what I would do here is I would want to write, okay, remember those juniper berries, because as we've left the Onion Creek area, coming up here, and I'll say, you know, camp at Dolores River Overlook, junipers, and it's the one seed juniper. I had to key it out. Oops. Are fruiting. And then I would probably smash a berry right there. And the other thing I could do is, remember when we talked about well, in earlier, I like to do the colors, you know, little dabs of the colors. So the juniper berry colors were so beautiful. They're this pale blue green. So maybe what I would do, so say I smashed some of it in here, but I would just capture the color, which just a little bit like that. And then, you know, write something about the scent that I was smelling. And now, then I would come in and say, climbed Imogen Pass. What was it, 13,000? We're not remembering fully the change. You know, it says 13,100 something. And just below the summit, saw American pika. Haystacking. And everybody else said it was just so hilarious because I just wanted to stop and go, oh my God, look what he's doing. Look what he's doing. He's sticking the grass under the rocks. And people are like, what? Who cares? Unless you know that these little guys don't hibernate, that they rely on those incredibly nutritious grasses to overwinter. Is just amazing, just amazing. So I would of course be tempted to draw this little guy. And we're running short on time, but maybe I would, from the photo, I mean, he's pretty simple to draw. Maybe I would draw him in here. But the other thing I want to do is maybe try to capture some of those fall colors, which we're going to be seeing in just a moment. So I'm actually going to reserve this space here for fall color, and maybe I'll just leave a little place marker for this little guy to come back. He's basically
Oh, yeah.
a circle.
That's the thing, right? The same one?
Dorothy, could you turn your sound off, please? He's just a circle with a little head like there. And get that. There's his little chin thing. And that amazing ear. Okay, so that's just going to be my, let me, you can see my little placeholder for the pica.
What are they taking out of there, honey?
What?
Oh my
Say that
God.
again?
It's like a Renaissance festival.
Oh, Dorothy, let's see. I can't get to you to turn off your sound. So if Dorothy could turn off her sound, that would be great. So I'll come back. I'll do a placeholder here for the little pica. And then we're going to keep going on our trip, though. One more stop. How's everybody doing? Any questions?
I'd love to see a picture of that juniper bush again. That's so beautiful.
The juniper, yeah, we can hop back over there. Let me pop back to our little tour. There it is again. This one here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll be able to, I'm going to put the link to this whole tour. You can go in, you can zoom in pretty close with these to get detail if you wanted to sketch certain things. And then you can click on any of the icons to see. Now, let's check out our next stop. So we were at, I digressed. So we were over Imogene Pass, we saw the American pica, and then check this out. Like, this was completely out of my ken, right? We're in avalanche country. So we're driving along and come upon this. So on both sides of the road, you can see where the trees are just like matchsticks, boom, completely felled all the way up the hillside and then all the way up the other side. And this is an avalanche chute, probably a couple years old, I was told, based on the degradation, but still just super, really dynamic landscape here, really crazy. So now we're back below into the tree line, but the dangers here in the winter are pretty incredible. And now we're starting to see those amazing colors. So one of the things I definitely wanted to do was to try to get those colors. And one of the ways I would do that, so just down this valley was this view, which I'm going to share with you. Here. Of some lovely, lovely fall colors. Now, do I have time to sketch that whole thing? Are you seeing the beautiful creek with the colors?
Yes.
Okay, good. yeah, do I have time to do that? Ooh, not sure. But one thing I really recommend doing this, and especially with this fall colors, were just blowing our minds. I would want to capture the fall colorways, like I did with the juniper berry. Um, so I'm going to just quickly, because I could do this on a lunch stop, I'm going to dab in the colors I'm seeing. So bright yellow. Clean out that's my dirty yellow that I use for mixing. So orange, pale, like medium orange color, and then also a much brighter reddish orange colors. I want to capture all these amazing colors that I'm seeing, in addition to the greens. So everything from some bright greens still to, let's not forget the spruces, which are kind of that blue green. And those are my colors of the fall that I'm seeing. And so now I could go in and quickly do another little landscapeito. So here I would write about American pikas. And maybe what he was doing and what leaves and stuff, continuing this little narrative here. Do that there. I'm just leaving a placeholder there. And then maybe I would just quickly do a little, could I capture this quickly? It's going to be hard, but so let's grab the shape of the river. Let's see what I can do here. This is ambitious. And what have I got? I've got these trees coming up here, and I'm going to do little, like keep this small there. And then we've got just doing some really quick placeholders here. Get my trunks in here. Got a shrub in the foreground here. See how I'm just like, this is just, I want to just capture this really quickly. Got all these really scraggly trees in here. And can I quickly just throw in some colors? Yeah, I can do that. Let's see, what do I want to do first? Well, maybe I would just mark that blue sky first with really light wash. Oops, that's too much water. Just pulling those colors up. Those are dry, lighter than that. And then let's, I've already got some of the colors here. This is a darker green, so I'm going to stick those. I'm just going to dab, 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 because I'm going to be filling in with all the other cool colors. And I want that to recede, so I'm going to make it more blue. be popping that out with some yellow shortly. But I think I'll get rid of that for the moment. And how would I do that water really quickly? I would probably start with a darker blue. I'm going to green it up a little because it's kind of a really cool bluey green. I'm going to go really dry brush here and see if I can't get some of that sparkles, leaving that gravel bank. I'm going to leave that for the moment because I want to push that back with, I'm going to darken that up even more. Oop. I really want that to go way back. And then throw in some yellow. Start marking these. Now that's going to be more orangey than yellow, but I can add that back in. Just sort of place holding that now. And let's do the same over here. And let's create some orange. Not trying to go for perfection here. I just want to suggest it. And I'm going really fast because, oops, I just made my virgin yellow dirty. While this is still damp, I'm going to add the oranges. Need to get some green in there at some point. And over here, I want to create that dark edge and throw in some of that closer shrubs. Make that a little bit lighter blue. I mean green. That's looking, it looks really dark to you. Oh, I can improve that a little because I'm going to pull some of that out. And that'll dry a lot paler. And I want to get some blooms in there on purpose. Okay, so you can see the process for how we might quickly capture that feeling of fall colors. Along the creek side. I'm going pretty darn quickly here. And I'm going to want to come in and refine that quite a bit. But I think for now, I'd be happy with that. I'll be wanting to put in more of the oranges. But as a really quick capture, I think I'm good with that. Okay, well, we have one more stop. Won't have time to sketch everything on that one, but it's really fun. So let's take a look at our next stop because we're leaving the really high country now. Are we back to our avalanche chute? If someone could just verbally say yes, that would be helpful.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. And now we're heading back down, I think it's about 6,000 feet. And here we are entering our final camp. Which doesn't seem to want to play these, so you'll get to play them when you can zoom in on your own, but that's what it looked like coming in. This beautiful Sanford Creek, and just above camp was this series of beaver ponds. This whole little valley is about 4 or 5 beaver ponds, and you know the creek just meanders through here. Here's the biggest active beaver lodge. Really super cool. I actually spent quite a bit of time sketching here because we got to camp early. And so I got to sit for over an hour, maybe 2 hours. And I'm going to show you kind of what I did with that. But there's a lot of fun stuff here. It was incredibly rich wildlife wise. Lots of birds, and up here in the trees behind us. So I was sitting right there and turned around. There was a red squirrel in the tree right behind, really cute little guy, and they were chattering at us. And then a beautiful Canada jay, the gray jay, absolutely gorgeous. Again, would be really fun to sketch this. I would be so tempted. He stuck around a lot, so they would have been great for live sketching practice, which is really hard, as you know. So let me show you. I sat right here, literally where I did this 360-degree view. And I'm going to share with you my pages that I did on site, so you can actually see them. And going back here to my camera. Let's see, there we go. You should be seeing the document camera now, yes? Oop. So you're seeing my journal?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So you can see this is drying nicely, and I can go in and add more of the oranges and refine some of my greens. But like for a super fast sketch, that was fun, and it captures kind of the essence of where we were going from the mesas to the high country. And I would want to be writing all my species down, and I can go in and give him some color to emphasize that really dark nose. So during the trip, let me just show you. Now, this is funny. You're going to laugh. I totally got over involved on this. This was that camp. It took me forever to finish this. I totally bit off more than I can chew and kept adding detail. And it was just like, and I use this as an example now of overcooking it, which was kind of funny. So here we go on the trip. So here was the next day. And I did sketch the pronghorn. Now I just did a placeholder because we were driving, saw them, took the photo, and had to keep driving. So I just did that. And then I was able to capture that incredible microbial mat. And I wanted to get the colors. So I did this right there at Onion Creek. And then I kind of did a quick sketch, and then I did paint this later in camp. But I did that live as well. I tend to do like 85 to 95% of my work all on site, and I try to get it all done. Then I did, there's my pica. I was so excited. Actually didn't do as good a job sketching him as later. I did that from memory while we were at the top of the pass. And this was done at camp overlooking the Dolores River. You can go back and look at that. And you can see how I'm listing all the birds we saw, white-crowned sparrows. This was, there I did my colorway. This was another view farther up the mountain of the Aspens. Along the Gunnison River, there was a lot of tree fall from the snow that recently came. So I had this branch of turned out to be a narrow-leaf cottonwood, which I sketched. And then here, I had so much fun with this. So this was the beaver pond. That was where I sat, right there from the view you saw, and spent quite a lot of time. This wasn't a short one. Probably took me about 30 minutes to draw, and then another 30 to paint. And I wanted to capture the lodge, the fact that there were these terraces where the ponds would go down through the really pretty changing colors of the alders and in the creek. I wrote Taylor Creek, but it's actually Sanford Creek. And then on the trail behind me was moose poop. Doesn't everyone like to draw moose poop? But that was super cool that there's fresh moose, that they were lodgepole pines. These were the birds we saw. And then later, I didn't do this on site, but I had fun doing an overview, a top view of of what I was seeing. And you notice I didn't do the background. I just did the one interesting tree where I was seeing a lot of the brown creeper and the chickadees. So that's another way to approach that. And then another fun thing I did, so the kind of the wrap up day, is I did a map of the whole route, just lots of prose and writing. And then this was glued in here. I collected some leaves and glued them in. And then this is like a little sketch I keep these in my small notebook wallet. And I just glued that in and used it as a fun little addendum, which I like to do on my notebooks. And that was it. So a lot of fun. We're actually at our time. We're out of time already. But let me give you the address I'm going to put this in the chat, and I will email this as well to everybody, and the recording from today's session. I will put that in the email, but here is in the chat. That's how you got to our virtual tour. Now, what color, I'm going to answer some of the questions. Hope asked, what colors are you using for sky? That is my cyan. I use cyan, yellow, magenta, the triad. And my cyan is manganese blue, which is a beautiful, transparent, pale blue, mixes beautiful, bright greens and purples. And it lifts really easily, so you can pull out clouds and stuff. So that's a great one. So question somebody had, how much gum arabic do you put with the soil? So I'm actually teaching a class in that coming up. It varies by the soil. So you have to just start with a little bit and mull it in and mull it and add a little bit. So I'm doing a feral watercolor class coming up. The colors in my palette are on my website. I use the yellow is chrome yellow, also called aureolin yellow, which Daniel Smith now makes in a pretty stable form, and quinacridone rose for my magenta, and then burnt sienna and endanthroned blue, and that's all I use. So when you're adding colors to the trees, what is a benefit of waiting until the first color is dry versus adding the second? So if I want hard edges, I wait till it dries so that I get kind of maybe a crown of trees. If I drop in the color while it's still damp, it'll blend beautifully. So just experiment with that and see what you get out of it. I'm looking back on the sketch I did. And I'll share the finished one with you. When I let it bloom, there were some nice hard edges that looked like the outline of trees. And then now I can go in and add some detail with that. It worked really pretty well. Thank you. Let's see, I'm looking for more questions. What did you use for the white of the microbial mat? I reserved the paper. So I just really carefully drew and drew and drew, reserving the white so that the dark parts defined the white. I couldn't think of any other way to do that. You couldn't use resist, that wouldn't work, because I wanted to get that filamenty thing going. So that was fun. I feel that your pace forced me to loosen up and get the idea of the image instead of every detail. Yeah, it's hard. I just want to, that's my one of my biggest things is I wanted everything to be perfect, and no, just a loose sketchy style can be really fun and freeing. So seeing, somebody wanted to see the sketches again. Yeah, I'll switch to that in just a second. And then Beth, oh, fun. I'm so glad, Beth, that you enjoyed that, and hopefully you can keep doing that. So I'll swap to the drawing. Let's see. I think I can just go right to that. Is that showing the sketch again?
Yes.
Okay, great. I can never quite tell. So if you look here, you can see the hard edges. And now that'll let me go in if I wanted to, define those more as trees and shrubs. I might suggest some little trunk things going on. And then I could go in, you see how those, the edges really define the colors a bit better. And the same here. Now this blended a lot. This is what I wanted. I wanted more of the orange to blend. Same with this. And down here, since this was a lot closer, I might even go in and suggest a few leaves. If I want this to appear closer, I can add more detail. Just a little bit. But not a lot, because otherwise when the less detail, this is farther away, I don't want to add a lot of detail, so it keeps looking far away. Wouldn't want to do anything here. And then I can go in and enhance these trees a little, but they were farther away. Those got kind of blooky it was still damp, so my pen bled a little bit. And then I'd go in and finish my pica and describing what I was seeing, and be sure I name there, and some more notes on how many antelope. I can quickly, throw in some antelope color like that. And I have a quick and dirty way of doing that dun color like that, which is a common desert color. See, it's pretty bright yellow. I just add a little bit of, I'll warm it up with my burnt sienna, and then I get this antelope-y color. So I can go in and define his those wonderful markings. He has a white, this was pale, so I want to be careful not to color all that in, because he has a white chin there, and then he's got that dark thing going there. I'm not going to make it too dark, but he's got that really interesting. It's probably a little bit more brown in there. Like so. Oh, that's why I use lifting watercolors. And this kind of graded down like that. I'll stop now and let that dry a little before I would go in and do anything else. Probably got that a little dark. There. So it's kind of fun to just play with those. So I'll finish this up and post it and send you guys the links to everything. So someone is asking about the cloud chart. So there's a cloud chart. You can download it on my website. And I also, so I put two things on the website, and I'll go ahead and put that in the links for you too. There's a weather chart thing, and then also a PDF on clouds. And I created my own cloud chart using that. Just, it was a great way to practice. So that was one way. And then the brush is my Isabe. It's, oh, I stopped the share. So it's Isabe, Isabey squirrel, and it's a travel brush. So it goes into its own little case. That's the only brush I use. I own a fair number, but I just tend to go with one because I'm creating on the fly in the field, and I don't want to mess with a lot of stuff. So that's just my approach though. So great. I will put the links in the email and update everything on where to find everything to download. So be sure to grab that link for the virtual tour. Otherwise, I'll put it in the email and on the website too. So you can go explore on a slower pace and do more details, because we covered a lot of ground really quickly. So any other questions? Just unmute if you have any more questions.
Roseanne, it's Jen. I had a question about your palette that I was seeing lately. You don't have any divisions in the main like palette where you mix. Do you like that better, or do you like having divisions better?
That's funny. I had divisions. I created divisions with little with just caulking, you know, like that you caulk your bathtub with. And I just took them out because they were getting too gnarly and gross. So I prefer just one now. And then I can also just grab bits of other color and mix and match. So unless I need like a super pure color, I don't worry about it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I have a question. Okay, it's not. I just bought some paint, and I had bought Jack Law's big palette. I was wondering, is it possible to carve out a little bit and stick it into my little travel palette? Because I was looking at the cost of it, and I feel that as the new person to this, maybe I shouldn't spend too much money yet. Do you have any idea how I could transfer some paint from one to another? Could I wet it really wet? How would that work?
I would have to see how it's put into his palette. See, some of them have, see, mine come out, you know, there, so that I can mix and match and pick. So I don't know if his come out. Otherwise, you could get it wet and pull some of it out with a sharp knife and get it nice and wet and pack it into, you need to get these little pans and then pack it into the pans. You would lose some, but you could do that. If you get it nice and wet, then you got to let it dry again. I don't know. I've never tried that. But send me an email and we'll see. I can ask Beth how it's put into his palette. I don't know.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Well, have fun. Be sure to, yeah, and share if you like your sketches. I create a section on the website where I put these tutorials up, and if you want to share, I put like a little gallery of sketches. Great. Well, thank you everyone for coming.